All right, now let's get more on this from our guest this evening. We're speaking to Douglas Sidialo, U.S. Embassy blast survivor in 1998. Welcome to Africa Live. Now, Douglas, what's your reaction to the former aide of Osama Bin Laden being found guilty of plotting those attacks in 1998?
The old adage says that when you kill by the sword, you die by the sword. When you kill by the bullet, you die by the bullet. 17 years have gone down the line, and the long hand of God and the long hand of the law has caught up with Bin Laden's aide, who masterminded the bombing of the U.S. Embassy. So I feel that justice has been served, despite the fact that it's taken over 17 years to see that some of the masterminders of the bombing are brought to justice.
Of course, a very traumatic incident, hundreds of lives lost, and you in fact lost your eyesight. Does such a conviction like this one bring any sort of closure to you and those affected by the embassy bombings?
Actually, with this kind of happening, it brings some sense of relief to the victims and the survivors of the bombing. So, in other words, it brings some form of closure. Unfortunately, the irony is that when this man was being sentenced in New York, I'm not aware of any victim being in the court to witness all the proceedings of the ruling, because it would have been fair to have Kenyan victims to be present in the court to see that the person who really caused the loss of so many lives and the person who also caused the maiming of so many lives is brought to justice and is also sentenced to life imprisonment.
Now, Douglas, one of the questions that remain is around compensation. Our understanding is that victims in Tanzania and their families did receive some sort of compensation, but here in Kenya, the story was slightly different. How do you think this latest conviction will affect the push for compensation from the U.S. government?
Well, I think it's been a very sad affair that the issue of compensation has not been fully addressed by both the Kenyan government and the American government. So most victims have been left to fend for themselves, and no one is really addressing fully the issue of compensation. In fact, we imagined that when Obama, the president of America, took over power as a Kenyan breed, he was going to really put some more emphasis on the compensation issue for Kenyans and the East African victims. But so far, we have never had anything tangible from our government and the American government to see that the victims of the American bombings are fully compensated. Because most of these victims are languishing in poverty. Some can't even afford to take care of their school fees expenses for the children. Some can't even have shelter. Some can't have even some good livelihood. So I feel that with this kind of ruling, the American government should work in collaboration with the Kenyan government to ensure that there is some form of compensation to the victims.
All right, Douglas, thank you very much for your time this evening. We're speaking there to a survivor of the Kenya U.S. Embassy bomb blast in 1998.